welcome to Horror Rewind. This is Kelly Florence,
And I'm Meg Hofdahl.
and today we're talking about Graveyard Shift. Or is it The Graveyard Shift? Is there a the?
Kelly, you watched this movie and you didn't even bother to see if it has a the in it.
I always do that. I'm like, A Nightmare on Elm Street, The Nightmare on Elm Street. You know what I mean?
I think it's fine. It has no the in it, though. Just FYI.
Okay, Graveyard Shift. Did you read this short story?
Yeah, it's in Stephen King's 1978 collection, Night Shift. Did that sound like I just knew that information?
Well, yeah, because you always recite off Stephen King facts.
Well, I do, but it came out in 1990. It's an American horror film. Let's see. It's starring David Andrews, Stephen Mocht, Kelly Fox, and Brad Dourif. And and let's see. It had a budget of $10.5 million and made $11.6 million. So it wasn't exactly a hit. So there you go.
I have never seen this movie. Did you watch this back when it came out?
I saw it. It's funny because I didn't see it in 1990. I probably saw it a little bit later, but there's a movie called The Mangler. Have you ever seen that? Based on like a random Stephen King story. And I sort of fused the two stories in my mind. So it was very strange because then I'm like watching this and then I had to like figure out, oh, okay, I was like confusing that with this. So I have seen like a made-for-television version of this a long time ago, but it was pretty fresh. I mean, I didn't remember much.
I was pleasantly surprised to see Brad Dourif because, as we've mentioned before, he's one of our favorites, and you know he's a good actor. This plot of a rat infestation is very close to home, no pun intended, because back about a year ago now, there was a rat infestation at the local elementary school in our city, and they had to close down the school to get rid of the rats for the summer. And then somebody said, like, if you live close enough to the school, like, they'll probably invade your house. So one night, I heard something like moving pots and pans under the counter. And I look over, and both the kids are sitting on the couch with me because I thought they were rustling around. And then it's like, well, it's something big enough to be moving pots and pans. Like, did the dog get in there? And nope, it was a huge effing rat.
Oh my god! Holy crap! And like a huge rat is the size of your dog.
Yes. So the rats tried to move in, but like there's certain ways, like you put steel wool. They don't like steel wool and stuff. But and also like you can't. I mean, I don't like killing animals. I'm a vegetarian, but you can't just like use a mouse trap because they're huge and they would just like it would snap on them and they'd just be walking around. So you have to use like rat traps, which are like major things. So I mean, we nipped it in the bud and kept them from coming in so we didn't have to deal with all that. But my God, it's not just like, oh, you just set a couple mouse traps. They're freaking huge.
Oh wow, that's crazy. Like, and I don't know, like in northern Minnesota, it's hard for me to picture like a rat infestation. Like that sounds like something you'd have to deal with in like a southern state or something.
I know, or like New York City. Like I didn't
Yeah.
even know until I heard that, like that we have rats because you never see rats. I don't know, I don't. But yeah, they're big. And you used to have a pet rat. So how do you feel about that?
So here's how I feel about it. So in the beginning of this movie, when the guy, you know right away, like he's an asshole, you know, and he's like, I think he throws a rat into the thing and whatever. Those rats to me were so fucking cute. Like I was looking at them and I'm like, you little babies. And then it was so cute because then he gets pushed into the thing or whatever and they're eating like the bloody whatever, but they look so cute. I just was like, okay, I'm in this movie. Like I'm ready. They looked adorable. So yes, I had a pet rat. And here's the thing. I think this is with any creature. If you're not expecting a rat in your cupboard or wherever, like if a rat just ran into this room right now, I would scream and jump up onto a chair, like because I'm not expecting it. But just looking at a rat, I think they're adorable.
Yeah, I mean, I can see that. And I too, I mean, if it's not in my business and like, pooping in my food and stuff.
Well, yeah, I mean that's the thing too, is they are like, I mean, they're troublemakers, they get into food, they like eat through cereal boxes and poop everywhere. I mean, mice are even cuter. Um, and I had mice as pets too, and like again, and we would let our rat like around our house, like we would let him out, and then it was like hide and seek, like where did Gareth go? But we loved him. I mean, as much as you can love a rat. But I personally think they're cute, but I know Mark is not a fan, right?
No, terrified. And just the thought of seeing one crawling around, makes him jump out of his skin. So, yeah, I mean, I guess I wouldn't have one as a pet, but I'm not as disgusted as some people might be.
I know they're dirty. I know that they caused, a few million people to die in some plagues. But when they were eating that bloody, like, cotton in the beginning, they just looked so cute because they, like, somebody had, like, matted down some of their, like, fur with, like, some fake blood and stuff. And I don't know, I just thought it was adorable. So that made me excited because I'm like, well, maybe this is going to be good. And then shortly thereafter, Brad Dourif had this amazing speech that like I loved, and then after that everything was boring and terrible.
Oh, I know. It really started off pretty strong, like you said, and there's just, I mean, there's so many dudes, and there's just so much like tension, the kind of tension that reminded me of like Day of the Dead kind of tension we watched a couple weeks ago. And then there's just the lone woman, just the one woman, and she says she's from Castle Rock, so that was nice. And that also reminded me, I want to talk about how for season 2 of Castle Rock, Lizzie Kaplan has been cast, and it's going to be the Misery story.
Ooh, I love her. Okay, well, and like this is when I admit that I didn't finish Castle Rock first season because, and I'm like Stephen King's #1 fan, so what went wrong? I don't know.
Yeah, I know. It has all the elements that, that I should love, but I didn't finish it either. I don't know what happened, but yeah, season 2, Lizzie Kaplan, Misery.
Okay.
So that sounds good, right?
Well, that is a big turn on for me. I love her and I love Misery and like but I don't know like what went wrong, but I'm going to give another try. It deserves another try.
I think the last episode I watched, and this is, I mean, I don't know if it's a spoiler or not because I don't know what happened after it. The last episode I watched and then I just like
Oh.
stopped was when Andre Holland went into the woods and it was like that soundproof or whatever trailer thing, and then it was just like, okay, I don't need to see anymore. I don't know.
It was kind of that thing of like, and I don't get me wrong, I really like Twin Peaks, but sometimes it would go off in those directions, and that was kind of it was kind of like that kind of direction where you're just like, okay, I don't know how I feel about this, you know?
Yeah, I mean, Sissy Spacek is brilliant, and like her, like the Alzheimer's and going back and forth between timelines. Did you see that episode? Like that was amazing.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah. I actually finished. I stopped at the echo chamber or whatever thing too.
Yeah.
So,
Sensory deprivation,
Yeah.
whatever it is.
we'll have to maybe we'll watch it together if we can muster the strength. Um, no, I mean anytime. Well, even like with Pet Cemetery that just came out and there was a little reference to dairy, I think, in that and stuff too. I love the Stephen King universe. It's something that makes sort of being a fan of his even more fun, and I appreciate that in a movie like this where they'll have little things like that. What did you think? This main bad guy, the main asshole, because everyone's really an asshole, but the main one, his main accent was just so over the top.
It was really distracting, and if that's accurate, then okay. But it kept taking me out of it. I'm like, wait,
Mhm.
is he doing this wrong? Like, where is he supposed to be from? It just seemed kind of extreme or something.
And so I looked him up, and he's like British, and he like studied like in like all these like classical formal things. I'm just like, okay, I guess he knows what he's doing, but at the same time, like, this seems really extreme to me. I don't know.
Yeah, it did kind of. Oh, that diner or bar or whatever it is where they go. That old man found a really long hair in his soup. That was really gross. That was like a real moment when I'm like, ooh, have you ever found anything in your food?
Oh,
In a restaurant or otherwise?
I mean hair, I guess, and then you're just like, I'm good. Oh, I know. Did I tell you? I drank an entire Caribou coffee. Thankfully, this was not on the inside, but then I picked it up. I had been sitting with it on the couch. I pick it up, and there's somebody's used Band-Aid hanging off the bottom of the cup.
Like, not from your house?
No, I mean, I literally carried it to the couch, sat there, watched something, and then I just go like this, and I pull up the cup, and I had it sitting like on my chest. Somebody's used Band-Aid, like was dangling. I mean, thank God it wasn't in the cup, but it was on my person, and so that was like a real moment of like panic.
Oh my gosh. Okay, I was at a restaurant once, and this is saying a lot about my personality, I guess, because I was eating a wrap, and I bit into the wrap, and it was something hard, and it was like a piece of plastic, like a chunk of plastic, and instead of like saying anything, I just like set it to the side and I stopped eating. I'm like, okay, I'm done. And then the server came by, and he's like, oh, how is everything? Yeah, good. And like, oh, don't you like your food? And I'm like, well, I found this in it, and I like pointed to the plastic. I didn't want to create a fuss, and she's like, oh my God, she was so apologetic. She brought me an entire new meal, boxed up. She paid, or didn't have us pay for all 3 or 4 people that were eating with us. Like, and they apologized profusely, but I didn't want to say anything.
Oh, I understand. And maybe the fact that you were so nice about it, maybe that even helped you like get more. Because if you'd made a big scene about it, maybe they wouldn't have wanted to like help you out as much. I don't know.
I remember we have this mutual acquaintance, and I won't call them out, but every time we went to a restaurant with them, they complained about something to try to get a free meal, and it was so embarrassing. And I'll tell you after if you don't remember who I'm talking about. But it was just like, ooh, don't say anything. And I'm like I said with my story, I will go the opposite direction and not complain.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. I think I'm somewhere maybe a little more in the middle, but I would never like what's that show? Oh, it was Dirty John when he makes him put glass in his food. Oh my God. Yeah, that I mean there are people who pull that shit, I guess, but yeah, I think hair though. What is it about hair and someone else's hair is the literal worst.
I know, it's so gross. Um, do you think any rats were harmed in the making of this movie? They had to be, right?
We've all heard the shit show that was Milo and Otis, so I mean, I can't imagine that a rat was not hurt. It's just like when I was doing research on arachnophobia and they're like, no spiders were hurt. I'm like, yeah, fucking right. Sorry, I just don't. Of course, a rat was hurt. I mean, I don't know. But at least they weren't CGI rats.
Yeah, hey, there you go. It's funny. So these are my notes that I wrote down. I'm like, I feel like spraying them with water isn't really helping. And then I wrote in all caps, oh my God, that was a big rat! Because, like, spraying them with water, it's not getting them to go away. But then it was like, holy shit, that rat is huge!
It just makes them look cuter. Okay, yeah, well, I like how we have your stream of consciousness in your notes. But what I wanted to point out was so there's a scene in this movie that is like quintessential misogynistic horror scene or just any film scene. But the main asshole, as I called him, he's standing there being all whatever. This woman comes up behind him. Literally, she's a 10, he's a 5. I mean, that's beside the point, but she comes up and literally in the middle of broad daylight goes to grab his penis. And he's like, not now. And she's like, come on, honey, like, it's time. And he's like, no. And then I think he proceeds to hit her or almost hit her. And then later she gets revenge on him because he would not have sex with her in the middle of the workday. And she has a job. She works at this mill place. And that just in a nutshell is like what we're working against.
Yes, like, exactly. And I think he did hit her.
Yeah, he did hit her, and then I think he was gonna go really punch her, and then the quote unquote good guy came in to save the day. But you're telling me that a grown woman is going and grabbing a man's penis in the middle of the workday? Yeah, right. This is called male fantasy time. And he's like, not now. It's like, okay, that's literally never happened.
No, I can't roll my eyes any harder. Yeah. Ugh. Uh, did you realize this is another Stephen King story that it gets saved by a slingshot?
I did notice that. I mean, listen, we all have our I know when I'm writing a story, I'm like, Meg, don't do that again, because I tend to like have similar themes and similar actions that happen. So I won't blame him too hard, but yeah, I
But it's
couldn't
the
help
third one with a slingshot that I can think of.
because it's it. What's the other one?
Silver Bullet.
Oh, right. Fuck. I mean, it's very interesting. Like somebody could write a paper about like how the slingshot like symbolizes innocence and childhood or something,
Yeah.
Because I think that is what, especially in Silver Bullet and It. So it's interesting that again, it's this one. I don't remember if that's what happened in the story, but probably in the short story, it probably did. Stephen King, like, get a new idea. I'm sure he really needs our help.
I think he's been doing fine with his slingshot. You know what he should is sell Stephen King brand slingshots.
Oh shit. Yes. And
Now we're coming up with the ideas.
I think he used a Pepsi can in this one, right? Because isn't that okay? Yeah. Yep.
The end sequence is pretty gruesome. But first of all, going back, do you agree with me that just spraying these rats with water isn't doing anything?
No, it's not doing anything. They're not helping. People keep going down there to deal with the rat problem, then they die, and then he just gets more people.
It's not working out. So speaking of rats, I mean, there's that video that went viral a couple years ago now, but like the rat taking a shower, quote unquote. But it wasn't because rat experts were like, no, it has toxins on it and it's like poison. It's trying to get the poison off. It's not showering, so it's not cute. But you know who is cute? Pizza Rat.
I knew you were gonna say that. He is so cute. And I know, again, I'm like coming from this place of like I haven't had a rat infestation in my house, so maybe if that happens, like I will not think they're cute, but I mean, come on.
Yeah, and thankfully, like it was just the one that we saw, and then we never had any problems again. What if I am like living in a fantasy world and like the next time you come over, I'm just surrounded by rats. I'm like, Meg, it's fine because I don't see them anymore.
Ooh, let's write that. That's a good idea.
It's like hoarders, but I'm hoarding rats.
Oh my god. I mean, someone lives like that. Someone right now is like in a bed of like old decaying tissue boxes and there's like 20 rats like on their feet.
That's the worst part. Okay, I love the show Hoarders, and I'm just gonna put that out there as my like, what is this? It's like you're admitting your guilty pleasure or something. My confession. I don't know. What are we saying?
I don't know. I mean, yeah, is that what I said earlier about not finishing Castle Rock?
Yeah. So I love Hoarders, and the grossest parts are when they like move stuff and you just see all the animals scurry because they're living in filth with these creatures. And then the saddest parts are when they have kids in their home and the kids are living like this.
Yeah, no, that's always and it's usually they usually have a lot of cats in their house and there's like dead cats in there. I was just thinking as you were talking about is it called a rat king? When all their tails are tied together? Okay, that would be really scary. Like they wouldn't be cute anymore.
Like the sirens are coming in the background because I've had a heart attack thinking about that.
What if you looked down the hall and there was a rat king coming isn't that what it's called?
I don't know, but I'm scared.
I'm gonna Google this. I'm gonna see if there's a picture.
Oh, no, there's a video. I know there's like a GIF.
I don't want to look at it.
Oh God, no, it's so gross. I mean,
okay, I just saw a picture. Why are all their tails all together? Because they're in like close, like quarters.
I was thinking of the GIF, or the little video of like they all are biting each other's tails to like run in a line to look like a snake. Do you know what I'm talking about?
No, but I don't want to see that, please.
They get together to like scare bigger predators and make them think that they're a snake.
Well, I mean, that's really clever and they're really smart, but I don't like that. I don't want to ever see that.
Oh God! And then like I realized, they talk about it in this movie, the real thing where they would starve rats and then have them chew through people.
Oh, yeah, that was like the only compelling part because again, it was Brad Dourif talking about it, and he's talking about like in the war and everything. And that was another disappointment is he was the only person worth watching in this movie, and then his death was so unceremonious.
Yeah.
You know, he didn't even get killed by the was it the creature that made? Because he had the thing fall on his head, right?
Yeah, I think so.
But I was just like, what? Brad Dourif's dead, and he was the only good thing.
I know. Well, Graveyard Shift, we need to rank you.
Wait, I have a question. Have you ever worked the graveyard shift?
I haven't. I've never. Well, I take that back. I did this like temporary job. This sounds like a setup for scare tactics. You know how you get like a temp job for the weekend? But it was to like move files at this clinic because they were going to digitize them or something. So I think I worked overnight 2 nights in a row on a weekend. But I didn't get scare tacticked. I wish I had.
That would have been a lot more exciting than the
Yeah.
stark reality.
Have you ever had to work overnights?
I don't think so. Oh, I can't think of any time I had to. I mean, when Luke had to do it for when he did ER shifts, he kind of enjoyed it a little bit, like because he knew he wasn't gonna do it his whole life. Like it was like, oh, that was kind of fun to like be up when almost everyone else isn't, you know? So I could kind of see that. But like I'll be honest, when I've been in the hospital, those nurses are always the scariest. I'm sorry. But it was always like I would wake up to like the night shift nurse and I'd be like, fuck.
Meg, you're gonna get hospitalized and you're gonna be in trouble for saying this.
I love nurses. They're wonderful. I'm just saying maybe the night shift nurses like chose the night shift because maybe they're not the most extroverted. That's all.
Okay. Hey, that reminds me, I think we've already talked about it on the podcast, but was it called Nails? Remember where she was like hospitalized after that accident and like there were creepy things going on in that hospital?
Yes, that was a good one. That's a really good one. Starring Shauna McDonald from The Descent. Yeah, that was creepy. Yeah, 'cause see, being in a hospital is just scary at night. Maybe it wasn't the nurses.
Okay, what are we gonna use as our scale to rank the Graveyard Shift? I mean, we're just gonna use the cute rat eating bloody cotton, right?
Oh, in the beginning, they were so cute. They were just like they took their little pink hands and they were like bringing the blood up. Like, no, it was so cute.
0 being you hated it, 10 being this is a perfect movie. How many bloody cotton eating rats do you give Graveyard Shift?
I'm sorry, I'm only giving it 3 because I really just want it to be over. I just kept checking how much longer it was gonna go for.
I'm giving it a 4, and again, I think it's generous because it had a lot of potential, but some short stories maybe should be shorts. Like put this in an anthology or something. I don't know that I needed to see a whole movie of it and just these dudes talking the whole time. I don't care.
You know, I think it happened where it was like, okay, we're gonna literally adapt everything that Stephen King's ever written, and there are just some things that don't need to be adapted. And like you said, maybe in like an anthology where it would have been a short little thing. Because I mean, actually, you know what I will say, the creature was actually kind of creepy looking. So they did a pretty good job with that. You know, thinking about the time period and everything. And yeah, maybe if it was like 10 minutes long or something, it would have been amazing.
You know, and that's the parts that I liked involved the rats or the big rat. But the rest of it was just like, okay. Do you remember that old cheesy movie? I think it was called Shrews. I had it on VHS. Do you remember that?
I remember watching that. Yeah, we should do that for an episode. Oh my god.
So, you know, I mean, that maybe it's cheesy, but it got me interested.
No, there's this movie I still want to do that I loved. That was an anthology of 4 movies. I think we found it once what it was called, but I've never been able to find it on like streaming. But one of them is a rat-based horror short, and I still think about it to this day. So I think, you know, it's kind of like what I've said about birds and stuff, is they are these like ubiquitous creatures that we see everywhere. And some people see more rats during the day than others, but like when we were in New York City, we saw rats, right?
Yeah.
Or at least we were looking for them. But I don't know. I just feel like it can be done really effectively well. It's just this movie was just boring. So
Well, until the next time and in the next rat movie, we'll see you in the horror section.